Alright, welcome back. This is gonna be video number 12, and pretty much we're gonna tackle the second for report, in this little instruction here. And it wants us to create a r underscore customer order, and we're pretty much gonna modify the query order total for customer, and within that we're gonna have the total dollar amount for each order, and then we're gonna have a grand total for all orders by this customer. And it's saying we don't need to have the discount accounted for, and then we're gonna sort the data from recent to oldest. And the thing that I find with this little bit right here, it's kind of tricky, because when I was doing this for my project, I wasn't sure if the instructor was asking for in terms of total dollar amount, if it's total dollar amount per unit price, or if it's total dollar amount in terms of unit price times unit quantity or something like that, right? So I was a little bit confused by this. And also where it said again it wanted a grand total for all order by this customer, which is kind of like the same thing as saying unit price times unit quantity. So I was a little bit thrown off, and you'll see what I'm talking about as we go through it. So let's dive right into this one. So let's go back to Excel, and as always I'm gonna save and close. So let's dive into that. And as you can see, this already has the calculation here for order total. So in other words, this little bit here, all of this kind of does represent this already, but because I'm not, as you can see, it's pretty vague. I don't know what they're asking for really. And if you go ahead and plug all of the information from all the tables, there's nowhere to go more than come back to this right here. So which, in other words, is the total dollar amount that they're asking for right here must be the unit price. So that's what I'm getting from this. So without further ado, remember they want us to sort the customer ID of 65, so let's go ahead and do that. So right away, for anything, I'm just gonna 65 right here. Then I'm gonna can hit enter, you can click over here, and then I'm gonna see what I get. So okay, so here I have all the customer ID with 65, right? As you can see, these are all the total. And freight price, I don't know if that should be included. I'm not really sure. The instruction here is pretty slim, but we're gonna do what we can anyway. So now that I have the customer ID of 65, and okay, I'm just gonna scroll this down a little bit. I don't think I really need to mess with those. Okay, so the way I do this one, it pretty much what I'm gonna do, since this right here, if you notice, this is an expression. So let me just straighten this one out so you can see what's going on. So this basically is an expression right here, and I don't really like working on the expression when it comes to stuff like these, because they basically query that you're calling, and sometimes that can backfire when you're trying to do certain complex queries in the future. For example, let me show you what I'm talking about. So they're saying they're selecting customer ID, order ID, order date, shipping date, freight, and then now they're gonna sum the order line quantity times the product unit price, right? And then they're gonna say as order total. So right here, this as, I don't want to work with this as in the future, because if anything, I'm not going to be able to interjoin certain stuff on this little bit of query right here. So to avoid further problem, it's just like something that I like to do. You can totally leave it alone, it's fine, and just change it in the end. but what I'm gonna do pretty much, I'm just gonna squish back this a little bit. I'm just gonna go right here, and I'm gonna go for okay, just so you can see this, see what's going on. I'm just gonna extend this a little bit, extend it a little bit more. Okay, so you can pretty much see. So I'm gonna take product unit price, put it right here, and when I do that, I'm just gonna click over here, so it's save, and then run it, and unit price is right here, right? So now me doing that just kind of like change the whole thing. You see, as you can see, we have way more 65 in it for some reason. I don't know how those, where they appear from, where they were hiding or whatnot. And this is why I'm saying when it comes to this sum as total order, you gotta be careful, because obviously there was more 65 in the data than what it was showing. And look at that, there's a ton more. Okay, so I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing. So that's unit price, so we need quantity to get this formula. So I'm just gonna I'm not gonna choose quantity per unit, that's something else. I'm gonna choose order line quantity, right? So now that's what we have going on. So let's click somewhere and save that, and then let's go run it. That's what we have. Alright, so here we go. So we have this which represent this now, right? And if you check the ratio, all this is saying is 40 times 1250 is 500, and all of that makes sense. So in a sense, back to what I was saying, right? It doesn't really make sense that this is asking for total order, total dollar amount, or what is it asking for? I'm not really sure. And so if this is asking for total dollar amount for each order, right? I'm thinking it has to be unit price that they're asking for right here. And if this is asking for grand total, I'm thinking this must be the grand total. Or if this is not the grand total, this is the grand total plus the freight costs, which is gonna equal to a grand total if we might put it over here. But I'm not really sure. Ask your instructor if what he wants, what he's looking for here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just modify this right here, so I can get rid of the little expression, because I don't need the expression. So what I'm gonna do pretty much, I'm gonna take this guy, whip it. Where am I? I think that's where I'm at. Whoa. Nope. Jesus Christ. Okay, went too far. I'm gonna whip it all the way back. Okay, and then I'm gonna just whip it right over here. Let me just squish this stuff, because obviously it's giving another problem. Squish, and there we go. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take this guy, zoom it, and I'm just gonna get rid of this sum business, because I don't really need the sum anymore. I'm just gonna change this to grand total. I'm gonna get rid of the sum. I don't want that. I'm gonna get rid of this, and it will add the parentheses by itself. I could go down at the parentheses, but I don't have time for that right now, so I'm just gonna hit OK. So now we have that, and then let me squish this also, and then let's click over here, save it, and then let's see what we get. Alright, cool. So yeah, just see what I did. I just turned that to grand total, and if you check the SQL for this guy, I get rid of the sum and as order, whatever, I don't. So now it's pretty much saying as grand total, which is fine, totally fine, whatever. But at least I know I have these two in here, so if anything I could just like, if in the future I could just do the straight up calculation for these two. And yeah, and then it's saying we should start the query from most recent to OLS. I mean start the date. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just gonna do this recent to OLS. Okay, what's the newest to all this kind of thing. Click. There we go. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it for this one. This should be all the professor is looking for. Alright guys, so that's it for this portion right here. Let's scroll and let's see if there's anything else that we need to do. Nope, we're all about the integration next. So this is where it gets fun. We're gonna go in Excel. We're gonna pretty much use pivot table and all that good stuff. So okay, you know what? We're not even finished yet. Jeez, we have to run a report, create a report. Okay, so now that we have that, let's just save this and then let's just close it. So we modify that. So now let's go create our report. What? Seriously thought I was finished with this one. Let's create a report. So we're gonna put everything over for now, and what we don't want, we're just gonna put it back. So I'm not sure if we want that. This instruction is so unclear, so unclear. So create a customer report, create a report list order for customer with customer ID 65, modify the query, provide this report should calculate. Well, I guess in a sense might as well have everything, so let's do this. It's back, next, and go back to your instruction and let's copy this, Control C, Control V, and finish. Alright, so here we go, we have all of that good stuff going on. So obviously we need to do a little bit of maintenance. So I'm just gonna scoot the freight a little bit so we have a little space for the dates. And kind of like scoot it a little bit. Scoot it a little bit, and let's see what we got. Okay, there we go. We could even scoot the order ID a little bit too. Just a little bit more room for everybody. Here we go. Alright, perfect. Still missing a little piece up there. Let's go and fix that. Alright, there we go. Alright, so that's what that is. That's what that's all about. I hope that's what that's all about. Hope that's what the professor is looking for, because there is no other way around it. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.